Hi, I'm here with Weston Smith, the creator of Exonauts, just to find out a little bit more about how the show was made. So to start, could you just tell me a little bit about yourself? Do you have a background in filmmaking?
No background. Usually make music, but did start a film course that turned out to be quite useless. Mainly it was just to recruit people to work on the show, actually. Yeah, so quit that and just worked on the show from then on.
Where did the idea behind Exonauts come from?
Well, it's a parody of Jacques Cousteau's 1950s nature documentaries, but in space. In the early days of his documentaries, they were quite questionable in their ecological morality.
Commercial fishing with dynamite is illegal, an act of vandalism. But for the purpose of scientific study, it is the only method for taking a census of all the varieties in an area.
But eventually, Jacques and his cronies, they got wise and started to look after the environment. So I'm probably going to have that as an arc generally over the series to kind of mirror their real-life stories. And in terms of science fiction, Forbidden Planet was a large influence with the eerie landscapes and odd space phenomena. Thunderbirds as well. Just this whole 60s futurism, wacky vibe really rubbed off on the show a lot as well.
Why did you decide to use models and practical effects rather than sets?
Just out of sheer practicality. It also gives me quite a large license to do whatever I want as well. I'm not going to learn how to make subpar looking CGI, and generally it's easier on the eyes. I think models always have an interesting tactile quality, whether they're advanced or shoddy looking, but it still always looks better to me than CGI.
When you were making this, did you have a favourite effect to create?
Yes, one particular effect, it all came together quite easily, of this painting that a sentient cave in the episode secretes. We made an etching silhouette of the main character, Mackinac, then just simply poured glow sticks into it and kind of tilted it, and it all came together quite easily.
Did you have a least favourite effect to create?
One of the few actual large-scale sets, a part of the set that we made was a pit that Hans falls into at one stage, and I had to make many suction cups to attach to this piece of mattress by making many pieces of hot glue stick together and threading in the hot glue with a needle into the mattress, and just stabbing myself many times until I upgraded to a metal thimble to finish the process.
Yeah, nice. Did it take a long time to do?
Yeah, many days.
Yeah, right. Imagine there would be a lot of frustrating things like that.
Yeah, it's mainly an awful process filmmaking in terms of special effects filmmaking.
I was wondering if you could explain a few of the effects and models which stand out in the show?
All of the planets in the show are made from milk just poured into a plate. You put a bit of food dye in and ordinary detergent.
Yeah.
And the detergent reacts with the fats in the milk, so that creates quite a psychedelic, strange effect. There's not much post-production from there, and you've got a perfectly fine-looking planet to work with.
In the intro of the first episode, there's a great little shot of a planet that seems to be all made of balls. The sky in that is really interesting. Can you tell me a bit about how you did that one?
Yeah, thanks. It's just vegetable oil with, again, food dye popped in there. And they react well. Actually, there's a layer of vinegar so that little balls of food dye drop and settle on a certain point. The rest of the model was all made out of force perspective ping pong balls and gum balls all stuck together.
Yeah, right. How did you make the spaceship move the way it does in the intro and to the first episode? Because you didn't have like a kind of track for that or anything, did you?
No, it's just very low tech. Just me in a green suit holding the spaceship. Here it is.
Yeah.
On a green stick and just moving it throughout frame. What seems to work okay.
Yeah, simple and a good effect. We've got some of the models in the background here. The terrain in Onaquera, on the outside landscape and the interior of the caves, how did you do those?
Well, this is all just medium density foam, particular type of foam that I've just scratched away with my hands pretty much, and then applied various layers of paint for textures. But this cave material here is all expanding foam, so for filling gaps in your various households. Again, various layers of paint. Like to work with as simple a process as possible with this show, and it all kind of works most of the time straight up, so don't have to do too much experimenting. But yeah, really all the work and the hours go into the show in post, with the thousands of layers behind
I
everything.
can imagine. Another thing that really stands out is the sound effects and Foley. Did you do that all yourself as well?
Yeah, just in a small bedroom, various food stuffs and techniques. That's probably my favourite part of the whole process generally. It's quite liberating compared to the grunt work of all the post-production generally. And I envy anyone that does that for a real job. Yeah. Interesting.
Was there a particular sound that you were kind of surprised at how you ended up with that sound? Or?
Crunching cabbage is always a classic thing, and that seems to help a lot with certain things. But crushing eggs sounds good. Mixing in corn chips and pasta and tomatoes and stepping on that for the footsteps throughout the planet works for a good squishy, gelatinous sound.
You talked about this a little bit at the beginning of our chat. There seems to be an underlying environmental message in this series. Are you making a point about the exploitation of resources and environment here on Earth?
Yes, definitely. The tomfoolery of the Exonauts kind of mirrors, I guess, with a little bit more humour, Earth's problems. But just the exploitation of resources, even though I'm kind of feeding it into more of an optimistic 1950s space age style of approach.
Do you think that exoplanetary exploration is likely to happen in the next century?
Not at this rate. For now, it's just fiction, but there have been many discoveries recently. We're at 4,000 exoplanets compared to the 90s where none had been discovered. But maybe if governments across the world would be less like the early Exonauts, then we can one day get there.
Absolutely. What do you think is the likelihood of alien life existing on one of these thousands of exoplanets?
Definite likelihood. We can only use our human brains to imagine simple versions of what there might be. But hopefully next decade or so we can drill into the moons of Saturn and find something out there.
Yeah, right. And do you think that contact will happen or has happened?
I think religion will definitely put a stop to that. I'm not sure if we'll ever see that. It'd be too earth-shattering.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you very much for your time and walking us through the amazing effects of Exonauts. Hopefully we'll see some more soon.
Thank you very much, Beth. Pleasure.